Like and subscribe right now and you'll find an Easter egg with $100 in it. Hey, what's up guys? It's your second favorite PE teacher, Denver. These are the most toxic ways to win in Fortnite ever. Get ready to flash back to when you and your friends loved playing Fortnite. Make sure you drop a comment below telling me some of your favorite strats that you've seen to get those sweet, sweet Vic Roys and have your chance at getting in the next video just like these guys. Now jumping into the first one, guys, it's something we all tried before, building sky bases before people even knew to look up. I'm talking like season 1 or even before there were seasons in Fortnite. You'd be in the final circle, all of a sudden you get shot from above, so you look up, you see a platform, and you're dead. You hated losing that way, but the very next game, you tried it too, be honest. When this first got popular, it was frustrating because everyone did it, so you had to check the sky every 2 seconds. But this strat didn't last for a super long time because Epic took away our gliders and bouncers. But it can still be pulled off in the right situation. But speaking of looking up, one of the craziest ways to win in Fortnite was using balloons to float into the air and shoot down at people below. This strategy in and of itself was actually very similar to building a sky base because you would float above people and shoot down on them without them even getting a chance to fight back. One of the most OP combos was flying with balloons and using a boom bow like this. Now this strategy only lasted for a short time and was insanely broken, especially if you can get multiple balloons and sit there floating high above the danger during the final circles. And while we're on the subject of final circles, doing trick shots became really popular in Season 4 when Epic introduced bounce pads for the first time. These things were crazy fun and made for some epic trick shots like this one. So it's almost like players made it a personal challenge to get trick shot kills, whether it be to try and make montages or just for the heck of it. Either way, it became one of the best toxic ways to dumpster someone and win the game. One memory that will always give us flashbacks to some of the craziest times in Fortnite history is flying planes the entire game to get a win. When planes were added to Fortnite, it was definitely a game changer with how you could travel the map. What people didn't expect though was their ability to destroy buildings and take out entire squads. This was a strategy in Fortnite that consisted of dropping into an area where planes spawned, grabbing as much loot as you could, and then just flying around in a plane. I think we all remember just how frustrating it was to be at the guy on the ground fighting another player when all of a sudden you start getting blasted from a plane in the sky, and then they fly through your build, either hitting you for a ton of damage or causing you to fall to your death. Talk about rage-worthy. And there wasn't a lot of counterplay because these planes, other than hitting insane shots to take the pilot out, getting lucky with explosives, or you had to jump onto the plane and hijack it to beat it. Now this next one is legendary and lives in the Fortnite Hall of Fame. I want you to remember back from early Season 1 all the way to Season 4. This strategy was made popular by the pro gamer none other than Daquan, and you guessed it guys, it's double pumping. Double pumping happened when a player had 2 shotguns in their inventory. It worked by firing one and then switching to the other very quickly and back and forth. This essentially removed the delay from shooting a single shotgun twice and was extremely effective in getting early Vic Roys. It was at the time the single most broken thing in the game and a very controversial topic among pros and Epic. It seemed half the player base used and loved the strategy and half of them wanted it removed from the game because of how strong it was. What did you guys think about it? We all know in the end that Epic decided to completely remove it with shotgun swap, although there were a couple of times it was reintroduced by accident when they added the new legendary pump shotgun. Double pumping was and always will be one of the most memorable and toxic times in Fortnite. And any of you that got to experience that time in Fortnite will remember just how crazy OP it was. Next up, do you guys remember mechs? Of course you do if you played in Season 10. Regardless of if you liked them or not, these things were broken. Epic introduced the Brute mech suits into the game trying to level the playing field, but almost the entire community, whether they be pros or casual players, hated them. Oh my god! Very similar to the planes, mechs had almost no counterplay. They had over 1,000 health, could farm mats faster than anything in the game, and they shot rockets. Like, how could Epic have thought this was a good idea? They finally decided to nerf the mechs, and many players were happy with the changes and thanked Epic, like Tim the Tatman angrily thanking Epic for nerfing them here.
Yes! Yes! Talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Now, mechs stayed in the game for only a short while after the nerf, and the excitement didn't last very long because mechs, even after all of the nerfs, were still broken and frustrating to fight. The end of the Brew era came, and Epic at last realized that nobody asked or wanted them in the game, so they vaulted them for good. The Fortnite community as a whole celebrated. Now, some things were worse than the mech, though, kind of like the Ballers. This took over the Fortnite comp scene and regular play for a long time. Ballers weren't even nerfed until they were just removed entirely. Ballers were, in a lot of people's opinions, considered to be worse than mechs and airplanes just because there was no easy way to play around them due to the mobility that they had. And most players just ended up hiding in these things all game, including some of the most famous pros like Ghost Bizzle. They were also pretty tough to destroy because of their extra health and insane speed. One of the most popular and toxic strategies they were used with was endgame circles. You guys remember all these competitive Fortnite tournaments where in the last circle there was box fighting, and inside each box was just players inside balls bouncing around waiting for the storm to move? This basically became the new norm. You would roll around in a baller at the end circle and wait for players to be eliminated. You just pick up their loot through the baller and pop out when the time was right to fight the last few players. Now, this strategy, although frustrating to play against, was one of the most popular ever and was used to get wins purely because of how broken it was. If you somehow caught someone off guard or eliminated them and they had a baller, your chance of winning went through the roof. Now think back to Fortnite Season 0. I mean, before Season 1, sitting in a bush when Fortnite just started was actually a really viable strategy to win because everyone joining Fortnite had just come from games like PUBG and DayZ where you're able to crouch, you could prone into bushes in areas of high foliage to hide from others. No one was super used to the building mechanic yet, and so hiding crouched in a bush was actually an insanely good way to get victories. But it didn't stop there because Epic caught onto this and introduced the bush as a wearable item in late Season 1, making bush camping a hilarious way to run around the map. So long as you weren't seen running from one bush to another, you could easily get a victory royale by sitting as still as possible under the leaves. Not to mention, from time to time, there is no choice but to sit in a bush, like if you ran out of mats or you needed a place to heal up and be hidden. Now, this next one was hard to pull off, but when everything went according to plan, made for some of the funniest and most epic wins in Fortnite history. Trap towers originally became popular with just streamers, but eventually led to tons of people trying their hand at a victory, but with a twist. There were a lot of elaborate ways that people tried building trap towers, and the best feeling was when one actually worked. It definitely helped a lot when the last player was a complete bot and would willingly walk towards a trap tower unsuspecting. This strat eventually evolved and required a bit more thought, and so pros would actually leave piles of loot on the ground in an effort to entice players into walking right into their trap, until eventually players started to catch on to what was happening and almost all together stopped falling for these trap towers, making them next to impossible to pull off. Now, this final one changed Fortnite forever. I'm talking about the spray and pray meta. There was little as toxic as this. This playstyle involved emptying your entire clip in the direction of an enemy, no matter what the situation was. It got popular after an early game buff to the SMGs and the introduction of weapons like the P90 and the drum gun. I think this was a strategy that every player was basically forced to use, especially controller players, because with the addition of the stronger weapons, shotguns became basically useless for a while with their slow rate of fire and would set you at a disadvantage if you didn't carry an SMG. And to show how much pros hated the drum gun, here is Ninja talking about it needing to be removed.
One game, took one arena game with me in reverse, and there were like 15 people left after like the third circle. Everyone just charging everyone with drum guns, dude. Every single person had it. Dude, SOS, man. I love what Epic did, allowing us to unvault one of the guns in the game. I think it was an incredible idea. I love it a lot. But, dude, something needs to happen. Like, the drum gun needs, like, a rarity buff. Like, it needs to be gold, gold Epic. Like, that's it. Cannot be as common as it is with blue and with green. I'm just throwing that out there. All right, it's my 2 cents. I love the gun. It's fun to use, but wow, dude. I mean, me and Reverse just again, like one game, just side by side, breaking into 1x1s, man. It's gonna be a very interesting next couple of weeks if this is allowed in the competitive tournament for the World Cup. I don't think it's gonna be allowed tomorrow though, but See you, man.
Guys, let us know right now down in the comments if we missed any of the most toxic strategies in Fortnite history. Also, be sure that if you haven't yet, you hit like and you hit subscribe right now and turn those post notifications on so you never miss an upload. As always, I hope you guys have a great day. Love, Denver.